All right, nation, you got just me today. Only one dad in the lab. I'm trying to be, I guess, on behalf of my friend Di Manuel, perhaps 4% better today, or maybe one. Depends if you multiply it or cut it in half. But I am pleased and I'm proud and I'm excited to be welcoming in. Let's just try this here. Boom, there we go. Audra and Matt Karams joining us here today from, where are y'all
Arizona.
Arizona.
We got more folks from Arizona. So I guess I got to stop teasing about Arizona because you guys don't have my hockey team anymore. You lost it.
Yeah, I have heard. That's a disaster.
Yeah, so 28 years, full circle. I lose my hockey team to my beloved state of Arizona. I guess now I can stop teasing Arizona. And now the team ends up in Utah. So I don't know how to feel about that because now I got one less joke.
When our kids were little, we took them to some hockey games and that. And then the stadium, of course, they moved where they were at and all that. But the kids really enjoyed it. That's for sure.
Of course, of course. So where in Arizona are you joining us from today?
We're up in Peoria. So it's a connecting suburb of Phoenix. If you go northwest, that's where we're at.
I know Peoria. I had family who lived in Peoria. I have family that lived in Glendale, Peoria.
Yeah.
Mesa, just side of Scottsdale, got married in Goodyear. So I've spent a little bit of time down in your neck of the woods.
Yeah, we've had 4 kids in Arizona.
Okay, there you go. You had 4. So are you from Canada originally, or are you guys Americans?
No, we're American.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
We're originally from Ohio.
Oh, I'm even more sorry to hear that.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly. Where are you from?
I'm from the beloved state of Manitoba.
Oh, you are Canadian. Okay.
I am Canadian. Yes, I am. I'm from the beloved province of Manitoba, Canada. Some might call our country a state, but that we'll leave that for the other show. Here,
you guys get a little chilly.
Yeah, we are that too. Yeah, we are absolutely that too. We do get a little bit of chills in the air here up in the Winnipegs of Canada. Yeah, chilly.
You'd be surprised how many Canadians come here to Peoria.
Oh, I know. I had family move down there. So yes, I'm very familiar with the fact that a lot of Canadians have moved. So I think half of Winnipeg actually has second residence in Phoenix.
I think so.
Yes.
Yeah. I go down to the pool. You always see Canadian license plates.
This is true. This is true. This is true.
But you guys are always very friendly.
I was also just going to say, so I guess we're on the kids show, so I really can't drop the F-bomb, but I was also going to say we're pretty polite too.
Very much.
Yeah, we're dropping F-bombs everywhere. We're always just thanking people and just letting people cut in line and just always just saying just all the nice things.
Exactly. No, we've had great. Yeah, no, you guys are definitely welcome for sure. It's awesome.
Oh, that's awesome. So Matt and Audra Karam, you guys joining us today.
Yeah.
Because talking kids leadership, we're talking children's leadership, we're talking things that we normally don't talk about here, I would say, in society. All right, so you come from Arizona.
Yeah.
You're teaching kids leadership.
Yes.
So you got 1 strike against you, 1 strike for you. We're all. I guess I could take the strike away because you're from Arizona now, because the hockey team's all good. So that one's gone. So 2 strikes for my friends from Arizona and leadership. Why are we teaching children to be great little leaders so early? And maybe the bigger question, gang, is why are we not having more conversations about this? Like, why am I only just finding you guys?
Yeah.
Because I found you. I'm like, wait a minute. Why are we having more of these conversations?
Agreed. We started this conversation with kids 45 years ago in our family martial arts school. Okay. Of course, the kids that came sometimes had behavioral issues, right? Parents were saying, I need help. They're not listening. They're not doing what I ask. They're not moving forward on their development. They're not doing their homework or whatever the case may be. And so those were the natural things that we had to deal with in the martial arts school. That was our typical. There were parents that were struggling to really rear their children. And so what you find evidently as time goes by is that all these parents want similar values at home. They want children that are respectful, right? They want children that listen the first time they're told. Parents want these children to be leaders, not followers. But the common thing is they don't see how to do that. When this generation of parent we've seen, I'll give you an example, a cross section in our martial arts school. We'd have about 200 children we'd teach every month. And about 25% of those were being raised by grandma and grandpa, which was a horrible thing because grandma and grandpa are already tired. The second component is half of our kids, 50%, were being raised by a single parent. And only the last 25% actually had both parents in the household.
Mm-hmm.
So we've seen over the 45 years a huge transformation in the family unit that's at home.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so when you see those kind of changes, then those ripple through everything. And so it's so important for us when you think about it. If you had a daughter and you want her to be an Olympic gymnast, that's our aspiration.
Mm-hmm.
What age do we need to start them at generally? Any idea?
As soon as they come out of the womb, talking to them, like
they say it's 3 or 4. Okay.
Yeah, but why wait till 3 or 4?
I think developmentally, that's just what they do. But like when I was a kid, Mary Lou Retton was a huge gymnast. She was incredible.
Yeah, me too. Yes. Yes.
Yeah. She won gold. But so number one, she started at 3 and 4 years old. But what made her there was her coach, Bella Carolla, right?
Mm-hmm.
He was everything. He made her an icon.
Mm-hmm.
He taught her how to eat. He taught her how to exercise. He taught her the routines to work out to. They helped choreograph all of her stuff, right? It was the coach. You see a lot of athletes with phenomenal potential
Mm-hmm.
that maybe don't have the best coach.
Mm-hmm.
And what happens? They don't make it.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
They don't get there. And it's disappointing. It's disheartening for us, right? When you see somebody with that much potential. But that's the same with our children. Okay. So why we have to be intentional about where we want our children to be. If we talked about, hey, you'd like your child to play basketball. Okay, awesome. We have 4 children. We have 3 boys and a girl. Now ours are a little bit older. My youngest now is 25. Okay. So we have an opportunity to look back historically and say, okay, what would we do differently? And how would we raise them? And I want to give you a pivotal moment as me as a dad. Okay. So I was raised in a martial arts household. My dad taught classes.
Okay.
And he was very strict. He acted like that was the military.
Yes.
You really couldn't raise your hand.
Yes.
You had to do it right now his way.
Yes.
All the time. So when I started to teach martial arts, guess what I did? I emulated him. I did the same thing he did. When my 3 boys came through the martial arts class and I hollered at them like I was hollered at, they cried. But I look at my wife and say, you're a boy, buck up, move on.
Yes.
But when my daughter got in class, she's 5 years old, and I hollered at her and she cried, Keith, it broke my heart. I'm thinking, what adult male that should holler at a little girl enough to make her cry? It's horrible. And when we went home that night, I told my wife, I will never do that ever again. To anybody. I in the beginning was doing what I was taught.
Yeah. So I've been there. I had very similar pivotal moments.
Okay.
2 young children, a young boy, young girl, one's 17, one's 14. One day snapped on the boy.
Yep.
Reflected upon it. And no physical behavior, just my tone and the way that I was acting. Yep. Okay. I don't really know if I like that. And then, because that's how I was taught. I love you, Dad, love you, Mom, but that's how I was taught.
Yep.
Number of months later, it happened with my little girl, who's 3 years younger than my boy. And I reflected leaving the room after that incident with the way that I handled myself, and I did not like myself.
Nor did I. I was embarrassed by the way I acted.
Yeah.
And I was embarrassed that I wasn't doing a better job.
Yeah. Yeah. I've been fortunate. So I have a third child, a bonus child.
Congratulations.
What's shaking Brookie? If she's tuning in, she's on trip with her dad right now on vacation. But Brookie's 8. So I've had a chance to generate a different generational style of parenting.
Yes.
Communicating, reflecting upon how I've done things differently, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And
yeah, that's incredible.
It's been a learned experience for me.
And Keith, I got to commend you for doing that. So many males that I've run into don't go that extra step like we did. They don't self-reflect, right? They're okay and happy with, I did it the way my dad did, so I'm moving on. And so in the martial arts school, we literally had thousands of students that we taught over those years.
Yeah.
And one of the common things would be a Marine dad. And he'd come in and he'd say, okay, how long is class is going to take? And my response to him was, is if you want lasting change, like arguably Stephen Covey, if you want to create a new habit, it takes 32 times.
Yes.
Depending on how complex, and it can be, but generally there's some standard, right?
32, eh? Okay, good. So after a month, Nation, you guys all should be convinced you keep listening to the show, because I would do it every single day, 2 hours. So actually in 15 days, I convinced you all that I'm a new habit.
Now you got a new habit. Now, Keith, we got something, right?
That's it. According to Stephen Covey, and
I'm just saying what he said. I don't think I'm as smart as he is, but there's, hey, we got to have something.
I've got to bring something to the table, Matt.
Right. But Dr. Ruth Peters, she's a child psychiatrist. She's now passed away, but she said with children, it takes 100 times. Not 32 like you would have as an adult. And so with our classes, one of the things that we always did was we asked you to come 2 times a week for 50 weeks for 1 year. So we can't take a Marine dad approach and say, we're going to beat it into them in 20 days and you're going to last a lifetime. It doesn't work that way with children. Children learn as a process, right? They want to be involved if you allow them and if you bring them in, right? And so those are the kind of things that we need to do. One of my children, I was working on a project outside in the garage on a car. And both of my 2 older boys saw me working on it and went beep, right in the house and had no interest in helping me. So I was curious. I thought, what is going on? So after a little bit, then I went in the house. I said, hey, guys, what's going on and all that? And yeah, and I have work to do. I have this and I have this. And I'm like, hey, guys, I know you saw me working in the garage. I went the other way. It's okay. I'm not mad. Why? In talking to my kids, what I learned is I never let them help.
He did. It was hold the flashlight. There's those stories of us as older generation. Unless you're
or get the screwdriver.
You weren't holding the flashlight, right?
Yeah, and that's what my dad had done with me. So then I started thinking, okay, what can I do to get my children to enjoy it and want to be involved? So I started to take in the tasks that I would normally do, and I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to have them do it, and that's what I did. So I invited them in the garage to help work with me. And I said, okay, we need to do this. You think you're up to it? Okay, here's how you do it. And instead of them just watching me like I watched my dad, I then actually showed them and told them and watched them while they did it. And that greatly increased their willingness to participate with me on things they didn't want to do, which was work on a car.
They still don't love it, but it's everybody learns when you practice, right? So and do it.
You do. And one of the things that I did as a dad for Christmas, every Christmas when boys were younger, I always bought them a tool. It might be a screwdriver, or it might be wrench, a socket set, something, right?
And why did you do that? Hard to share.
As dad, I thought it was my responsibility to teach them, get them ready to move out, and to give them skills where they could work on things themselves, right?
But more importantly, he never had a good tool when he had to start working on cars. That's why he kind of started to do it.
So this is fascinating to me because I received the same gifts from my dad.
See?
But no.
Uh-oh.
What?
I didn't want the hammer.
All my kids said they didn't want it.
No, but that I think is perhaps a moment of reflection. Because where father was trying to connect with me, this was happening. Right?
That's it.
I joked to this day, I'm going, I got something in a gift one day, and I opened it up and I was looking at it. I was like, what the hell is this?
Right. Exactly.
Like, it's a hammer. I'm like, what do you do with it?
Yes.
Because I'm a nerd. I'm a computer guy. So I'm the guy who walked by my dad working on the car, went into the house and went with my mom in the kitchen, made cookies.
Right. I get it.
The exact same thing. So always struggled to connect because I was not, and I was the guy.
See, right.
Hated holding the flashlight.
Agreed. So,
but didn't like how I was communicated to while I was asked to help or assumed to help. Hence, so I'm sorry, Dad, airing dirty laundry here. Hence, it encouraged me to be an intentional and clear communicator with my team, with people around me, to manage expectations and manage what I expect of you. And some people don't like clarity in their communication because they're like, oh, that's curt. No, it's clear.
Yeah, exactly. Which is so important. One, bringing that point home that
Yes.
you just said, I had a gentleman that was out of the military. He said to his daughter, "You need to clean your room before we can go to this
Yes.
activity." It was
Yes.
Cedar Point,
Yes. Yeah.
right?
Set some boundaries, set some expectations.
Here's the negative outcome in that particular situation. He went in her room, saw her room. It was not to his satisfaction. And he said, "We're not going." So that created strife in the household. When they came the next week to class, we would always do parents' meetings, like a parent conference, if they had trouble at home. So we brought everybody in, we sat down, and I started talking to the dad. What was your expectation? Why did you ask for that? What was going on? And then I go to the daughter, and the daughter starts crying. And I'm like, what's going on? And she's like, I did not know what to do. I didn't know what my dad wanted when he told me to clean my room. So
interesting, right? Because clean your room, like, to me, when I hear that, means, well, clean it, put everything away, dust, vacuum. Like in my head, Matt, Audra, I have an expectation of what clean is, right? Man, this is great. But in reality, clean is not very clear, because clean could mean put your clothes away, make your bed, vacuum, dust, etc., etc. But man, when you say it, because as I'm talking loud, I'm uncomfortably laughing, because is that ever a great example? Because it is something we as parents use every single time.
Right.
Yet there's no, and what's great about it too, Matt, is that I've been on this. Here's what's funny, because I'm just going to roll this right now quickly. Hey, if you can say it in 10 words, don't use 20. People tune out. Overwriting is like shouting in a crowded room. Nobody's listening. Be clear, be concise. Don't focus on the fancy language. Focus on a concise message. Your community is busy. They don't have the time for the fluff and all the extra words. Clarity beats cleverness every time. Use simple words and short sentences. You'll get your point across much quicker. The bottom line is this: more words make it about you. Less words, it makes it about the reader. Just a funny play on that, but it brings your point true, doesn't it? In this case, yeah, you do need some more words, because when you say clean your room, Keith, Matt, we have a perception of that. But I had a good friend with Shaken Ray White, who always says to me and says to his kids, inspect what you expect.
Yes. I love that. Yeah.
So Audra, my expectations are, you're going to vacuum your room, you're going to put your clothes away, you're going to make your bed, you're going to do A, B, C, D, E, and then I'm going to come by in an hour and I'm going to inspect it. Seems pretty clear to me.
Yeah.
But if I could spin on that, though, what I think is interesting is, like, we would say clean your room, but we had previously been setting the expectations of what that was.
Yes.
And a lot of times parents hear that, they hear other parents saying, go clean your room. So they're like, oh, I can just throw that out right now when they're 9. And it's a little too late, because at 4, 5, 6, and 7, you're going through the process with them. You're explaining, you're helping them to pull the cover up, put the pillow here, and it's a process.
So Keith, if you think about it, if you were going to hire a receptionist for a business that you owned or were involved with, generally you create a description, job description, right?
Mm-hmm.
You set the expectation. You might let that individual mirror or monitor or shadow that person that's doing the job currently. Then you may train them on some scripts before you put them autonomously on the phones by themselves. And you would surely audit what they're doing, right? You would periodically check on them to make sure that their performance is what you were expecting, hoping, and helping them with. But what we notice is You'll do that with an employee, but you don't do that with your children.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So just like that dad that said, clean your room. So then I said to dad, Dad, hey, did you ever show her what you wanted cleaned in that room?
Mm-hmm.
No. Did you ever go in and help her make sure that she did it? No. Then why did you this time before the trip?
Mm-hmm.
That's what his dad did. Before they could earn a trip, they had to do something. So he was really just doing what his dad did, but without any of the training.
Keith, Matt, and Audra, we're going to wrap up part 1 here. Manuel. I'm going to hold my friend He's like, we got to do these 20, 25 minutes. Like, let's do it, man. So we're going to hold to the format.
Sure.
Clarity over cleverness. We've spent the first part of our 2-part series with Audra and Matt talking clear communication, clear expectations, creating little leaders by communicating with clarity, managing those expectations, and expecting them. When we come back in the next episode, which if you're here live, we're just going to do a nice little pause. We're going to continue the conversation about clarity, communication, creating little leaders with Matt and Audra Karam. So I thank you guys for tuning in today. If you're sticking around for the live show, don't go anywhere. Just pause with me. We're going to do the old moment of